Okay, cool. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Planet Sky FF, the world where everything revolves around lack of transfers because neither of us are any closer to £50,000. So this year, I think it's safe to say that we are walking away empty-handed. My name's Serge.
My name is James. Yeah, I'm getting further away. I'm a week from hell
Uh,
in this game.
well, at least you at some point had the hope, but that is the hope that kills you, James. So, um, yeah,
I
difficult
did.
game week.
Well, I don't know, but it just turned out that way for me as a complete, absolute car wreck. Car wreck. There's over 300,000 people have done better than me so far this week. It wasn't that much better last Thursday or
Yeah, sure.
Wednesday, so it just turned into a pile of shit. But the worst thing I can do is be disappointed about the finish of what's been quite a very good first Sky season, and lessons have been learned over the last week.
So you are now what rank, James?
I'm 418th. I've actually slipped back this week.
And how many transfers do you have left, James?
I have two. Thank you, Kaglar Soyuncu.
Do
Yeah, I kind of feel like I want to tell you the story of my week.
it.
So last Wednesday, I decided to make the right move of Ismail Assar in for, out for Phil Foden.
Hmm.
Phil Foden should get about a hat trick in the Man City Newcastle game, returns a 2-pointer because he can't hit the
Yeah.
fucking target. Ismail Assar actually manages to finally pull something out of the bag and gets a 5-pointer against Newcastle the following weekend because he wins a penalty. On a Thursday, I make a positive transfer, sell Adama Traore for Mason Greenwood. Greenwood scores at Villa. That's
Hmm.
quite decent. It's not looking too bad at this stage, except I've captained Harry Kane the same day, and I think it's well documented what happened to Spurs at Bournemouth on the Thursday.
It was.
So I've then decided in my blind rage that I'm going straight Kane to Sterling on Saturday.
Yep. Good
Um,
move.
with the idea of captaining Raheem Sterling on Saturday. On Saturday morning, I changed my mind and didn't do it. And the reason I didn't do it was I looked at it and went, A, I'm not certain he'll start. B, if he does start, am I going to even get 2 games out of him? And I'm breaking it down and going, okay, let's say this could be for the 2 games, could in theory be 90 minutes for Sterling, an hour and a half hour, could be. There's obviously a chance some with an 80, but it could be as low as 90 minutes. So I'm looking at it like that, going, I need to get this guy in, need to get this guy in. But reflecting on it and going, well, City obviously after the game today don't play again to the following week. So it could be 90 minutes of Sterling versus 270 minutes of Kane. And when I reflected on that and put my Sky head back on, and knowing that Kane remained a captain choice for me on 2 of the 3 game days, then the sensible decision actually, as mad as it seemed, was to keep Kane. So I kept Kane. I didn't get Raheem Sterling. I captained Virgil van Dijk against Burnley
Okay.
and basically completely missed all the Man City points on the Saturday night. That was obviously a pretty big swing. I then decided, though, that I was still in enough of a rage with Kane and Spurs not to captain him against Arsenal. The fucker picks up 5 points off shot tiers.
Huh.
And I captained Soyuncu, thinking, well, it's Bournemouth. I
It
actually
is.
joked on the Patreon Slack channel. I was like, this boy's bringing me a 40-pointer today. Don't worry about Sterling last night. Clean sheet, tier bonus. He's actually had quite a few near misses from set pieces recently as well. I was like, yeah, today's the day. Oh my God. Did he blow everything up really badly?
Yeah, I know because regular listeners will know I got him on my bench for my bench boost for regular FPL. So I'm well aware of what a knobhead Kaglar Soyuncu is right now.
Monday, I captained Bruno Fernandes, was fine assist,
Standard.
but I haven't got Martial or Greenwood, so I feel like I missed the points there. Wan-Bissaka and Greenwood, nothing from my other United coverage. And then yesterday, I skipped the game because I'm stuck in 2 transfers, and Harry Kane's already now gone out of my team anyway.
Mm.
Because what I decided to do was to get off the Soyuncu problem. I was like, well, the 2 guys I'd want, Foden and Greenwood, I've already got. There's no one else I want at this shitty value. So I had a couple of million in the bank. I decided to sell Kane for Danny Ings on Monday night. Also no return. thinking, well, there's 4 games of Ings over Soyuncu. There's really nothing for me to wait for here, which has put me 5.2 million in the bank, which does allow me today to go from Soyuncu to Jesus. If Jesus isn't playing, that's really just going to sum everything up. You haven't got quite enough, I don't think, to go straight to Sterling. I think he's 11.6, isn't he, Sterling?
I'm not sure
He
on
is,
this
yeah.
price, but yeah.
But the plan for me is to go straight to Jesus, and then that leaves me just one transfer left. I wouldn't be able to now go from a Van Dijk or a Trent to Sterling, so I'm going to have to actually go without him, which is gutting because he's the player that I wanted most before the weekend. He's still the player that I want the most. You have no captaincy cover for West Ham and Watford. I do now have Danny Ings to cover me the Sunday as opposed to Kane, and I have no captaincy coverage for the games next Monday as well. And as I can't get to Sterling, I think the most likely is that I will sell Van Dijk or Trent tomorrow for one of the guys that obviously still has 3 games left and covers the Monday. And the one I probably favour at the moment is probably Luca Dean as a differential punt.
Interesting rundown of your game week there, James. I had a better
Absolute
game week.
wreck.
I made a load of transfers last week to set my team up for this week, with the only move that I needed to make this week being potentially jumping in on Chelsea yesterday, which I didn't. And remember, I've still got 8 transfers left, so I'm still having a bit of fun here. But the Saturday was good for me. Dean Henderson, 11 points. Very nice return from him. And VVD, 10. Kevin De Bruyne only a 2-pointer. Jared Bowen only a 2-pointer. Dan Burn a 1-pointer. But Jesus picked up 13 points. Riyad Mahrez was a letdown as captain, unfortunately. Didn't bring in the points. Sunday I only had Jimenez, but obviously captaining Jimenez was 18 points, so I'm not going to argue with that. Monday night, Wan-Bissaka 0, Greenwood 2, but Bruno Fernandes did okay. And I skipped yesterday's game, but I go into today with Mahrez, De Bruyne, Jesus. I'm probably going to captain Jesus, Jimenez, and Van Dijk. So looking forward to picking up a decent return there. And then tomorrow night, I've got the 3 Man United boys, Dan Burn and Dean Henderson. So I don't need to make any move between now and the West Ham game. And I've got Jared Bowen to give me captaincy coverage for that game anyway.
How many transfers left?
8.
We need to figure out what we're doing with these for you.
Well, I've got what are these websites telling me there's no game week 52 and there's no game week 53. Let's have a look. So we've still got game week 50, 51. So I've got two weeks.
How many Liverpool players have you got?
Just the one.
Who's that?
VVD.
Right, well, you need to get him out. Even if you go back to him next week, mate, and get two games of someone else with the transfers you've got left, just get it done, mate.
Yeah, sure.
There's nothing to think about. They're playing Chelsea next Wednesday. You even that bothered?
No.
I would be steaming into someone that's got the 2 games in between.
But that would be after. So it's just to be clear, you're talking after tonight's game with Liverpool.
Oh, yeah. Keep him for tonight. Even if you don't expect anything tonight, you might clean sheet and score, right? You never know, and hit the passing here. So, yeah, definitely keep tonight. But then you've got a bunch of teams playing tomorrow who are going to play twice before Liverpool play again.
Yeah.
So you've got Everton, Villa, Leicester, Sheffield United, Palace, who wouldn't go near, Southampton, Brighton. What formation are you playing at the moment?
3-4-3.
3-4-3. So you would have to go for a defender.
Yes.
You've already got Dan Burn, haven't you?
I have indeed. Luca Dean's a good shout, who you mentioned.
Yeah, it's one or Sheffield United as reliable.
Mm-hmm. But I've got Dean Henderson in goal already, so whether or not I want to double up.
You'll probably still captain Jimenez Monday, I'm guessing, subject to baby news.
Yeah.
Because when we heard the rumor of the baby, it's worth saying I'd penciled in as now as very likely for the baby to be due. So Nuno said yesterday, he said, we're prepared for the news at any point. But she ain't giving birth yet. So she might not give birth till the season's finished, right? She might give birth on Wednesday or Thursday next week and it just won't matter. But it could be that she gives birth at any time and literally you'll get the Wolves team and Jimenez isn't playing and you're like, where's Jimenez? The chances are she's giving birth or she's about to give birth. That's probably where it'd be at. But you can make a straight decision there, basically just on the 2 fixtures, rather than thinking, oh, I need to captain someone Monday. So it might even be in that case. Would you say you're 3-4-3?
Yes, 3-4-3 and
Actually
move away.
I actually think Dean probably would be the best shout from
Mm.
that, because
Yeah,
in the 3 days to go, they've got Villa, Sheffield United, and Bournemouth. Now, none of us, with the way they play away from home, expect them to get anything at Sheffield United on the Monday. But if they defend properly, it's not beyond possibility that they kept 3 clean sheets in those games. However, it doesn't help they've got Yerry Mina and Holgate injured. Holgate's a very interesting one should he be fit for tomorrow, and you will get the benefit of the team because he's only like 6.1 million,
which is cheap.
and that will save you some funds to just like power the shit out of all your Mahrez's, De Bruyne's, and all that stuff if that's what you want to do. Um, if you're not going back to Van Dijk, obviously the more obvious one is just go to United, mate. Just
Well, I've
go,
already got Wan-Bissaka, so I'd be doubling up on Manchester United at that
just go
point.
Harry Maguire.
Yeah, potentially. I could also still go from Jimenez to Marcus Rashford as well, and really double in on Manchester
Yeah,
United
all them
and come
sort of
back.
things I'd be doing. To be honest, if I was you with that many transfers, I would be almost clearing my team out, probably bar Man City players, of anyone that's already played this game week. So how many
Yeah,
players have you got playing today?
5, and I've got another 5 tomorrow.
So who's your 5 today?
The 3 City players, I've got Riyad
Yeah,
Mahrez, Kevin De Bruyne, and Gabriel Jesus.
yeah.
I've got Virgil van Dijk playing today, and I've got Raul Jimenez playing today.
I think I would clear Jimenez and Van Dijk out the team actually.
Yep.
And if you want to go back to Jimenez on Monday as the best captain option, it's not like you can't afford to.
No, exactly.
But I'd probably clear them out, get another couple of United guys in, and just hammer it. Or look at it a different way and go, right, one more plus give me the coverage if you're getting rid of Jimenez to make sure you're covered for the Monday with something different. It might be you decide to go something else that's fairly cheap, like Sheffield United or Reliable, for example, or Danny Ings plays Thursday and Sunday. What's your captaincy for Sunday at the moment?
I don't have one at the moment.
So Danny Ings is a good solution for that, isn't he? If you work
Sure.
around one of the forwards, for example. So Ings to Jimenez tomorrow, that sort of thing makes real sense for you. The problem for the majority of the listeners is sitting there going, James, I've got one fucking transfer left and I don't know what to do with it.
Yeah, exactly. That is a difficulty for so many people. I think it's why now it's a case of just sit back, relax, and watch your Sky team over the next 2 weeks. And it is what it is.
My opinion on it would be in terms of what to do with that transfer. I mean, it's obviously up to you what you want to get. The best advice I can possibly give is make your last transfer a transfer that you like, genuinely. Don't hate the last transfer that you're going to make, like me going for Luca Dean tomorrow, possibly. Is going to probably be something I hate. Generally, if you've only got one left, make it a transfer you like. I would prioritise. If you like the Manchester City lineup today, and there's someone in there that you can get and want to get, I would prioritise that over the single game days of Watford and West Ham is Friday, Norwich, Burnley, Saturday. Most people probably got a coverage for Sunday, Monday, or are going towards Danny Ings tomorrow. Now, I think that's probably part of the thinking for a lot of people.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts, best captaincy for the day, Suj?
So it's a bit of a tricky one in terms of I can quite often give you the best team, but I'm a bit torn on necessarily the best player. As I've got it set up at the moment, let's have a look at it, captains. I have for today Gabriel Jesus. For tomorrow, Bruno Fernandes set up already. For the Friday night game, I mean, are we going to say Antonio because he's on form and he's been scoring? I mean, Bowen, Antonio. If you've got any, most people will have one asset out of the 2 clubs, so you're really captaining whoever you own, right? You're not really. It's not like you've got the embarrassment of riches.
I think you've jumped ahead here a little bit, but I would still say Bowen from a Sky perspective in terms
Yeah.
of the tackle potential, etc. I very much agree on Jesus tonight. Currently, at the moment, he's 3.7% owned in the top 1,000, which is low.
Very
That
low.
will change, I should imagine, if he starts. But a lot of people might take the either perhaps financially can't get there,
Mm-hmm.
or decide from a transfer perspective that they won't. So for me, there's absolutely no doubt on that if he starts tonight, I'm going to back him as captain and hope he goes mental. If he doesn't start, then I've got De Bruyne, Mahrez, Foden, and whoever's playing. I can't be in a position where none of the four start, surely. Is that possible?
No.
So definitely go with that. Tomorrow, what have you got?
Bruno Fernandes, Mason Greenwood, whoever I want out of the two, really. But it'll be Bruno Fernandes, let's be real.
Yeah, I think there's games to think differential for, and I'm not sure that Manchester United against Crystal Palace is one of them. I think in terms of them sitting deep, how much more he's going to see of the ball, etc., would drag me to him. Whereas actually, I think those who went Martial or Rashford on Monday, or even Greenwood, actually, I know it didn't work out, that was probably the better game to try that sort of thing. Tomorrow for United feels more like a game to go with it. Obviously, a great alternative if you want to skip United and look elsewhere. If you think, well, Palace are just going to really put up a low block, he's obviously potentially Danny Ings.
Danny Ings, if you own him, is the other interesting consideration. We spoke about Friday, obviously, West Ham, maybe Jared Bowen. I mean, if you own Ismail Assar, just go with him. But you're not buying players, maybe just the captain in that game, especially if
Well, you should.
Villa are Bournemouth. Why?
You should.
I've got Bowen.
Got so many transfers left,
I've
mate.
already got Bowen. I'm
Oh,
not
right.
buying
You're
anymore.
okay then.
Yeah.
Bowen's your captain. Get on with it. Yeah. No, if you're in a position where you've got 5 or more transfers left,
Yeah.
you do need to cover the single game days.
What's your views on the Norwich Burnley game? Even someone like me with 8 transfers is looking at thinking, nah. Burnley defensively is the only place I would potentially go. But otherwise,
Who's your goalkeeper?
Dean Henderson, and it doesn't give me any advantage to jump on, jump off for one game. But I could
Well, it
jump
does,
on
other
and
than the
just,
captaincy.
I could jump on and leave Nick Pope there for the rest of the season and not go back to Dean Henderson, to be fair.
I think Chris Wood at 8.5 million and Jay Rodriguez at 8.7 million are both interesting. Genuinely, I don't hate either of them. They would be in and out punts for me. I wouldn't say go and buy them today for the Wolves fixture and then keep them for Saturday. It would be an in and out. There's no excuse to stay on unless it rules you out of transfers. But then I think it's probably a skip. Norwich haven't scored since the restart other than the cup game with Manchester United. So I think you're right to highlight defensively. The problem with defensively is even against Norwich, the defensive boys are probably still not going to pick up passing tiers, I shouldn't think. That said, if you take James Tarkowski at 7.8 million, which isn't the worst price, his last 5 returns have been 7 points, 8 points, 11 points, 8 points, and 5 points. And that's skewed because in the 2 games where they haven't kept clean sheets in those 5, he's got attacking returns. But over the same games, Nick Pope, 11, 11, 2, 14, 7.
Wow. Decent returns.
Nick Pope is the one. He's 20% owned in the top 1,000. Yeah, but if you're in a position with Henderson, you don't want to fuck about with it, and you'd rather just jump in between forwards. I really don't mind Chris Wood and Jay Rodriguez as long as it's an in and out. And you need to be in a position where you've got, say, 5 or more, I think, to be doing that. I think, genuinely, if I was in that position slamming into that game this weekend, I would go Rodriguez or Wood. And I think for Sky, I'd probably just edge Rodriguez, although I've been quite big on Chris Wood as a possibility for FPL, just because he does tend to get a few more shots away, Jay Rodriguez. So I'd probably just slightly favour him.
What about the Sunday? I'm going for Danny Ings.
Yes, stand out now. He'll be heavily captain Sunday, I think. I think he's one where people have only got 1 or 2 left. I'd go in Brighton captaincy against Bournemouth and then Sheffield United last game, and he's 3 goals off Vardy. Is he going to go for it? And I don't think he'll score 3 goals. Never mind Vardy not returning at all. But they're good enough fixtures to think, yeah, I'll go into him. I think a lot of people, I think for those with 1 or 2, if you haven't got Danny Ings, is beginning to look like a very good shout for tomorrow to go and get.
The Monday night, James, is Brighton, Newcastle, Sheffield United, Everton, and Wolves Palace. Wolves Palace is the standout with Raul Jimenez, which is a safe option. But Maybe a Sheffield United defensive asset if you own against Everton at home isn't too bad a shout either.
And of course, there'll be a lot of people already on Richarlison.
Yes.
Is obviously a different alternative. So one option that could be for me, and this might be more sensible for myself, is rather than going Dean tomorrow, is taking in the cup semi-finals and then just making sure I get through them okay. Because if, say, for example, I don't know, Marius got injured at the weekend, then I would probably prefer to slam the money into Richarlison.
Sure.
Even though wouldn't expect him potentially to score against Sheffield United because they are T-Rex at home and just Rex away from home. They do then finish with Bournemouth last game as well. So I think I'd be more likely to want to do that. So it's possible that I might not make the move tomorrow. And then if I lose someone over the weekend, go into it Monday. The problem with doing that is it's shag or gain for me. Unless I move back off Danny Ings after they play Bournemouth on the Sunday and then move to it Monday, that's a different idea because then I'm less fussed about keeping Danny Ings for the 7 days and the final fixture against Sheffield United, particularly if he hasn't returned in those first two. So Ings is another one. It could well be as a bit of a chain move to move off, say, I don't know, Liverpool today to Danny Ings tomorrow and then keep for Sunday and then move on to Everton on Monday. I think if you're gonna go that way, only Richarlison.
Yes.
Only Richarlison. You don't want to put the armband on any of the others against Sheffield United, I don't think.
No. On the Tuesday, we'll have early news for Manchester City against Watford. So really, a Man City asset is the way to go.
Yep.
Um, I mean, you've got
And
Arsenal Villa later in the day, but when you've got team news and you know who's playing, it just doesn't make sense to avoid it.
again, at the moment, I'd probably slightly favour Jesus. It's just on
Mm,
the fixtures as well. The opposition that they're playing against, I think they're going to both set up very defensively. I think in terms of what you can expect from City is what you always expect from them. I have a personal instinct as well with Jesus that he won't start on Saturday against Arsenal in the Cup. It's just a personal opinion that I think they're going to try and flood the midfield and just flush Arsenal out in those areas and let the three centre backs sit there and think, what are they doing with their lives, and try and drag them out. And therefore, I think Jesus starts the next 2 games. Could be completely wrong. The benefit is, of course, like you said, we will get the teams for both. So,
mm. And the same applies on the Wednesday next week as well with Manchester United against West Ham. Again, the standout fixture. Liverpool, Chelsea. As Dan, our Liverpool correspondent, said that Chelsea have given Liverpool a few tough games in recent times. So maybe the Manchester United game with the benefit of team news, Bruno Fernandes, Rashford, Greenwood, any of these guys, a decent shout that week.
well, I think for a lot of people, if you've got like Salah, Mane, it's like, where can I make the gain? I mean, really looking at Liverpool playing Chelsea, even Manchester United is a gain, isn't it? You get the extra game of Crystal Palace, then they're playing West Ham. Admittedly, it's the same day Liverpool play Chelsea. But captaincy wise, you're going to feel a lot better about things as well. The against that is nearly everybody's got Bruno, right?
Mm.
So do you want to, if you've got Salah or Mane, do you want to pump in Martial or Rashford? Martial's only got 4 away goals this season. And actually in some high caliber games, he scored against Manchester City, Chelsea and Wolves away from home. And Palace will put up quite a big block. So I wouldn't favour Martial as a captain option for tomorrow. He's not going to get the space that you got on Monday against the Southampton team that's happy to press and play a proper football match against you. Palace, as shit as they are, probably not going to. Tomorrow night looks like an Anthony Martial sulk to me. I could be completely wrong. Whereas I think against yourselves, actually, at Old Trafford, depending on what you need, it might be more that it swings back his way, although I suspect probably not. If you ask me now, which one do I expect Martial to go most mental in of his 3 remaining games? I'd say Leicester in the
Mm.
final game. In terms of the space that he'll get, United will get more space to break on teams. So I think probably in the next 2, it'd be more favour Bruno. Then if you want to go to differential, it's the last game. But on the last game, you're not captaining anyone other than the Manchester City player, are you? Let's be honest
No,
about it.
versus Norwich. I mean, it makes sense. Makes
So
sense.
I think the real debate for people is who've got 1 or 2 left is, should it be to cover the single game days, or should you hammer into United, City, etc.? My personal opinion is just hammer into United, City, etc. I think.
That leads nicely onto the few questions that we have, James, and we'll answer them. People are so kind enough to send them in. Benny Blanco, one transfer left. Do we go early and bring in a City player tomorrow? This was obviously asked yesterday, before their game today, or save it for the last game of the season? If you had one transfer left, I mean, we've agreed that you pile into City or United here, but would you save it for the last game week to just give yourself that little bit of cover if someone picks up a knock with the FA Cup or in the next round of fixtures? Or would you just pile in now, James, and then sit back, relax, and watch it
Well,
unfold?
well, if Jesus is not starting for me, I'm potentially holding it then till next Tuesday. Which I really, really don't want to do. If Jesus doesn't play, I'm definitely going to make that sort of Soyuncu to Luca Dean move tomorrow, for example. I'm not just going to let Soyuncu sit there and waste for me, for example. So, I mean, formation-wise, to solve the Soyuncu problem, if you're sitting there with and a formation where you can get away from a defender, I don't think twice about Foden or Greenwood if you haven't got either, especially if Foden's playing tonight. It's a great shout. Saka might be another decent one actually to get away to. Admittedly, they play Liverpool tomorrow night, but rested Sunday and then a good couple of last games in Villa and Watford. Saka's very cheap as well. It's about 5.8 or something. Might be another way around it just to get some minutes in and then maneuver the funds if you can. In terms of if the City players you want are playing though, just get it done now. Genuinely get it done now. Unless there's someone who you think that they're not going to play in the other two games, and I don't see why that'd be the case. You can't predict if someone is or isn't going to get injured against Arsenal in the Cup semi-final. The chances are probably unlikely. I would take the positive view as well that if the player starts tonight and plays a heavy amount of minutes, which admittedly you won't know when you make the change, that they're likely to start against Tuesday. Like I said, for example, I genuinely think right now that Jesus will start the last three league games. And knowing Guardiola, he might not start any of them. But that's how I feel. I just feel like they're going to leave him out Saturday. And so you need to make individual decisions. I think like with that in mind, it will sound ridiculous, but those who've got quite a bit spare, I think someone you should potentially consider tonight's decision, not joking, is Otamendi. Because the way it's working at the moment, he's playing Laporte with Garcia. They're playing the weekends, and Otamendi and plus Stones or Fernandinho seem to be playing the midweek games. And if you've got two games of Otamendi against Bournemouth and Watford, and then who knows, he might play the Norwich game as well, I think it's almost worth it. And you, in your case, with what you've got left, you should hold a couple back for the final game.
Yep.
Probably two, I'd say.
That's what I'm going to try and do.
If your City boys aren't starting, you can make the manoeuvres to whatever you want to do, or you might decide, I don't want this Manchester United asset against Leicester, or you've got the benefit of the team news from all the other games. So I think for you with 8 and anybody else who's got a silly number like that, then hold a couple back for the final day. But generally, those are just one or two. If you know what you want, get it done, would be my advice. Otamendi will, if he starts those two games, he will get 20 points. I'm pretty convinced of that. And he's a decent price, 8.8 million. It's not even expensive. And he's an attacking threat on set pieces and that.
Good consideration there.
That's a mad differential shout for you.
What about Carnaby Rob says, now that he's found the net again, is Jota a good left field pick for captain for tonight's games?
For tonight?
I mean, it's left field.
Yeah, it definitely is left field.
I don't know. I think people with so few transfers are not going to want to go near Jota. I mean, he was rested the other week, wasn't he, when Neto and Podent started?
Yeah, I mean, you get the benefit of the team, but I mean, for example, Gabriel Jesus has basically half the ownership of Diogo Jota in the top 1,000. Diogo Jota's owned by 6.2%, the top 1,000. Jesus 3.7. So Jesus don't feel left field. If you want a differential, that's where I'd be heading. And against Burnley,
yeah,
I don't think overthink that. It's got to be a Manchester City player today, in my opinion.
We've got Tim Barry. He asked about captaincy tonight and maybe Sterling. I mean, Sterling is a good captaincy option. Any Man City asset that you pick is going to be a good option. You can never predict who is and isn't going to be in amongst the points and the goals. I mean, Sterling's been on fire recently. So, yeah, if you know the team and he's in it and it's a good attacking team, then I've got no problem with Sterling being your captain. No problem with Jesus being your captain or Mahrez or De Bruyne, whoever you pick from City. It's acceptable.
My personal preference,
maybe not Rodri.
Or if they're all playing, No, but he'll get 5 points. He'll definitely get 5 points. Listen, Rodri tonight, if he starts and plays the whole game, he'll have about 150 passes, mate. The Rudiger last night, 119 or something. That
Wow.
was the way to go for the Chelsea guys in hindsight, was defensively for those who went on and then
Mm.
just move it straight on. Because they all picked up passing tiers basically with a clean sheet. If they're all played tonight, my personal favourite would probably be Sterling.
Mm.
If they all start tonight, got a great record against Bournemouth historically as well. He's coming off the back of the hat trick. The fear with him would be that because he played all the game at the weekend, he might be in for less minutes. But don't try and second guess Pep, even though that's what we all do.
Mm.
I would go Sterling. If I had them all and they're all played tonight, I would go Sterling as the best choice for tonight.
And last but not least, and perhaps we save this question, James, for 2 weeks' time when we review Sky as an overall. But Amra Batman says, any improvements that you'd like to see from Sky FF for next season?
No majors. I think the one that I've noticed recently is the updating of players' ownership.
Mm-hmm.
Where I was under the impression at one point where it seemed to me like it was live, it was constantly live, but I think Dan Cox was saying to me they'll generally just refresh it at the end of a game day or something. I'd like to know when the action is going on, what a player's ownership is, because I think there was a case, it was an Aubameyang game recently where we expected loads of people to go into him, and then I looked at it live and I was like, wow, people must be buggered for transfers because his ownership hasn't moved. And then I checked again the next morning and it shot up like 15% or so. So he
Right.
obviously had been bought. So I'd like to see if that can be incorporated, that you would get to see the ownership factually live during a game of
Mm.
what people bought. Even if it's a case that they froze it in the hour up to deadline. I understand they don't want the app to crash, all that kind of thing. But at least
Yeah.
then when the game started, it's a discussion point for people. Oh, wow, Aubameyang's got an extra 15% ownership. He's another one, by the way. If you've got plenty spare, you can go back into him next Tuesday or so. The risk with him, though, is if he plays all tonight against Liverpool, plays all the City on Saturday, and then Arsenal the 8 o'clock game on Tuesday. So I think most
Yeah.
people will miss out on Aubameyang. That's the one I'd really like to change. I think the app
The
has been
ownership.
the app has been frustrating for a lot of people in terms of the reliability of it.
Mm.
And pictures for players. Don't tell me you can't find a fucking picture of Bruno Fernandes. I don't want to look at a blank screen.
That's true. I would like to be able to forward lock in transfers, James. I know I don't think it's a good idea, but I would like to be able to do it. So if I knew I wanted to move tomorrow from Jimenez to Ings, I'd like to be able to make that transfer now, and still then be able to go in and change it should I change my mind. But at least if I've got that earmarked and I've made it, then I don't roll my transfers. But I think a lot of serious Sky players won't care because they'll have the wherewithal to remember to log into the app and make their moves and be actively playing. But I think it would increase the interest for some more casual players potentially.
I think like a lot of the guys will obviously play FPL as well. You know my mindset on it. It's like, okay, going into the deadline, if I'm normally well set in terms of what I'm doing, but if I'm not, it's the headspace of FPL. Then I've got time to just forget about that. I've got an hour to make my decision on Sky if I need to for whatever reason. So, for example, today I know my planned move is probably Jesus. There's no way I'm pressing the button before I see the Man City team lose.
Mm-hmm.
And I realise for everybody, that's not necessarily the case where, for an hour, you're stuck doing something. My advice is unstick yourself. If you're driving on the motorway, get yourself in a service station. If you're at work, pretend you smoke. If you're at
Mm-hmm.
work, smoke. Find a way. Find a way, because this is in Sky. This is the small advantage. Is that first team news? I would bet that the top guys will make 98% of their transfer moves in the final hour up to a deadline. There's no real excuse to do it early, except for very, very rare occasions where you might have overloaded, where you need to make, you might have 5 transfers planned for the next week, and you need to get one in early on the Thursday for the Friday game or something to make sure you don't go over your threshold of 5 per week. Otherwise, I mean, I don't think this season I made a transfer that wasn't in the last hour. I've made transfers in the ground at spares. There's no excuse not to do it.
Mm, there we go. James, that's all the Twitter questions we have. A nice little rundown for Sky FF. This time next week, we'll be recording when there'll only be one match day. I mean, there'll be the Wednesday evening games. There's only two games, and then there'll be one match day where everybody's playing at the same time, which is the last day of the season. So we'll be reviewing what happens in the next 7 days, as well as any final questions that you may have before the end. And like I mentioned, once the whole thing is done and dusted, the week after we'll come back and maybe review the entire season as a whole. That's if wherever you're listening to the podcast, if you do subscribe to the show, it does help. iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Spotify. If you're on YouTube, if you hit the notification bell, then you'll get alerted anytime we publish any content, as well as the regular 5 shows that you're getting at the moment. We also have 5 exclusive Patreon podcasts each and every week. So if you're interested in those, some more content from us, yes, I know, you can head over to patreon.com/Planet FPL and learn a little bit more about what we're doing there. Anything else to add, James?
Nah, just good luck, everyone.
Yep. Stay safe. Ciao for now.
Cue music, please, man, child.